There's never been a better time to be a superhero fan. With the likes of Avengers Infinity War and Deadpool 2 hitting screens this year, and with what seems like hundreds of comic book movies being planned until at least 2049, the superhero bug isn't going away anytime soon. Yet superhero video games, for whatever reason, have never quite been the staple they should be in the industry. Sure, we have the Batman Arkham series, but that's the exception rather than the rule. But that doesn't mean video game fans have been hard done by, as there are plenty of amazing releases already out there in the wild that were criminally overlooked when they first came out. Whether they were licensed games wrongly written off because they were associated with a big budget movie, or simply smaller titles you might not have realized even existed, there are plenty of comic book games out there that could give you the superhero power rush we're all craving. I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 criminally underrated Marvel superhero video games you must play. Number 10. The Amazing Spider-Man. Beanox's first tie-in to the recently binned Amazing Spider-Man movie series was essentially a total carbon copy of the Batman Arkham formula, but damn was it a good carbon copy. In fact, by keeping the stealth action that was popularized in their other Spidey game, Shattered Dimensions, these movie licensed efforts boasted a gameplay suite that very few of the titles based on the webhead have ever enjoyed. But of course, there's really only one thing you have to nail when it comes to Spider-Man games, and that's the ability to web swing all around the Big Apple. While it might be blasphemous to say, considering there isn't much skill involved in Beanox's traversal system, as webs don't even have to attach to buildings, the Amazing Spider-Man's web swinging system might be the best to feature in any Spidey game ever. Alright, maybe second best after Spidey 2. Sure, it doesn't take much skill to use, but by pulling the camera right in close and following Spider-Man all the way down to the depths of New York as he narrowly misses cars and swoops around buildings, Beanox gave web swinging a cinematic look that felt just as satisfying to play as it was to watch. Number 9. Captain America Super Soldier. Don't let its admittedly dumb title fool you. Captain America Super Soldier knows exactly what kind of game it is. Consequently, because it understands its limitations, the superhero romp grabs what it does best and completely runs with it. Although it doesn't quite have the same polish or the attention to detail that you might expect from other AAA games, Cap's first official tie-in has a solid gameplay loop, home to a surprisingly intense combat system that remains enjoyable for the duration. In a way, it's a bit like X-Men Origins Wolverine, an utterly unpolished mess that somehow manages to be incredibly enjoyable in spite of itself. Number 8. Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Pretty much being prototype before that series even existed, Hulk Ultimate Destruction let you loose as the big green monster in the heart of New York, giving you the ability to smash pretty much anything and everything you could get your hands on. While it wasn't exactly a game with the most depth then, the open world structure really lends itself to a character like the Hulk, where the focus is more on impromptu emergent gameplay than scripted storylines. Ultimate Destruction was great because it was one of those games you could just pick up and play for a few hours and have a blast with. While the missions themselves were explosive and generally fun, it was the enjoyment derived from simply trying to one-up yourself on how much chaos you could cause inside the game's detailed version of New York City that made it so special. And if that doesn't convince you, then I've got 4 words that will. Suplexing helicopters into tanks. What more do you want? Number 7. The Punisher. The 2004 movie tie-in to The Punisher was special not only because it managed to be a rare, great licensed game, but also because it was a licensed game that was somehow better than the film it was based on. Likewise, while you might think that the recent Punisher TV show was brutal in showing Frank Castle's murderous rampage, it's got nothing on this third-person shooter. The gunplay itself was just as violent as any other big name in the genre, but the movie tie-in wasn't afraid to go that one step further, particularly in the visceral interrogations that had you squeezing enemies' heads in vices, or threatening their eyeballs with electric drills. While it takes more than a few cues from Remedy's Max Payne, The Punisher is all the better for it, and stands strong as one of the most interesting superhero games to ever hit consoles. Number 6. X2 Wolverines Revenge. While many would argue that X-Men Origins Wolverine is by far the best digital outing of everyone's favourite mutant, Wolverines Revenge must take a close second place. Taking place roughly around the same time as the second film in the franchise, of the original early 2000s series that is, X2 sees Wolverine face off against a myriad of supervillains as he travels the globe to figure out the origin of his mutant abilities. Yeah, it's mostly just an excuse to spend 8 hours ripping people to shreds with adamantium claws, but the PS2 game does have a couple of other tricks up its sleeve, boasting interesting additions like using Wolvie's mutant senses to follow tracks and solve environmental puzzles, way before Arkham Asylum would use the same trick in its detective vision. Wolverines Revenge isn't just a dumb hack and slasher in the same way that so many X-Men games often are, even letting you tackle environments with a mix of stealth and full-on combat if things go awry. Number 5. Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Without a movie tie-in to worry about, Spider-Man Web of Shadows tells an entirely new story based around a symbiote invasion. While Venom as a villain in Spidey games has been done to death, this 2008 title implemented a rather interesting morality system that completely changed the course of the narrative, depending on how much you relied on the sinister suit. The combat and swinging are pretty much the same as the other Spidey games of the era, in that it's pretty decent really. Yet it's this core mechanic, as well as the freedom the game enjoys when it comes to playing around with other elements of the greater Marvel universe, that really makes it stand out as one of the webhead's best outings. Over the years, Web of Shadows has become something of a cult darling, and it deserves every single bit of reflective praise it's slowly acquiring. Number 4. X-Men Legends 2: Rise of Apocalypse. Although most of the focus when talking about great superhero games is often on the original X-Men Legends, this sequel, in many respects, is even better than that first release. Taking place during the Age of Apocalypse storyline, for the first time in the series, X-Men Legends 2 let you play as iconic villains from the comic books. While everyone loves playing through these beat-em-ups as Iceman and Nightcrawler, this sequel allowed you to add some of the most infamous villains into the mix, giving players the chance to live out their wildest childhood team-ups. A superhero is only as strong as their villains after all, and X-Men Legends 2 is one of the only video games that let you cause complete chaos as some of the most iconic baddies in the medium. Number 3. LEGO Marvel Superheroes. Just like how movie fans are suffering through superhero fatigue today, back when LEGO Marvel Superheroes released a few years ago, plenty of gamers were going through something of a LEGO game fatigue. After seeing virtually every popular franchise adapted for the kid-friendly series without any substantial change to the fundamental gameplay, a good percentage of people wrote off LEGO Marvel Superheroes purely because it was yet another entry into the long-running franchise. Which is a shame, because it's one of the best superhero games you could get your hands on. While the core story missions and levels were pretty enjoyable, the game also boasted an open-world LEGO version of New York City full of Marvel iconography and characters to find. As a result, pretty much every superhero open-world game you ever wanted to play instantly became a reality. Want to fly from the top of Stark Tower down to Central Park as Iron Man? Wreak havoc on the streets as Venom? Steal a car GTA style as Ant-Man? LEGO Marvel Superheroes let you do all of that and more. Number 2. Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Based on the Civil War comic storyline, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 pits the world's mightiest heroes against each other while building upon the solid beat-em-up 4-player mayhem of the previous entry in the series. Although it ditches the comic book art style, the attention to detail and the variety of different superhero worlds you come across is just as vibrant and imaginative as ever. Likewise, the roster itself remains solid, adding in iconic heroes while shining a light on characters who rarely ever receive the recognition they deserve. In general, there's just a great joy that comes with creating your own dream team of 4 superheroes to battle through the game with. Because while of course you could stick to the classic Fantastic Four lineup, there's something inherently satisfying about making the Green Goblin an honorary member of the Avengers. Number 1. Deadpool. Like 2016's movie adaptation, High Moon Studios' Deadpool game isn't perfect, but it's completely saved by its star character. A lot like Jules, Deadpool is only ever one line away from spouting another sex joke, resulting in a video game that's crass, violent, and also like Jules, one of a kind. What a lovable scam. As a result, even the most repetitive and uninspired sections of gameplay become interesting, purely because Wade Wilson's running commentary keeps the experience feeling fresh and exciting. The humor is spot on, and there are plenty of gameplay elements that directly play to the Merc with a Mouth's strengths, making sure that he's the star of every single scene he's in. So while you won't be sold purely on the gameplay itself, which in all fairness is still pretty solid, if you're even a small fan of Deadpool, then you're going to get plenty of enjoyment out of his first big gaming outing. As an added bonus, it's been remastered for next-gen consoles, making it one of the few decent superhero games you can find for your PS4 or Xbox One. So that's our list. If there are any superhero games you think deserve to be bigger than they were, then let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for even more lists like this every single day. I've been Josh, and I'll catch you soon.
Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Aren't you a star? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe below. And also, there's probably more content floating up above my head, so why not check that out as well? Could be a laugh. Probably. 6 out of 10.